Welcome once again, all football passes. I suspect there's probably more of one persuasion tuning in on this occasion than the other. Some will have their heads laid low, others very much heads held high. And amongst those, certainly is my guest today, David Weir, who I'm sure, Davey, is basking in quiet satisfaction. The 10-year wait is over.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, I think. And I think all Rangers fans this morning will have a degree of relief as well as, a big sense of enjoyment that, the day's finally come where Rangers have managed to win the league again. So it has been a while. Great memories of the last time for me personally, but, also
Yeah.
great memories for all the players and staff this time as well. It's to have won it so early and so convincingly is great credit to them all.
Paint us a picture of what you remember of the last time. Your time with, I think it was Walter's departure as well, so it must have been quite emotional.
It was, and it was the last day of the season, which it seemed to be in those days. It seemed to be right up to the last day of the season. It could have gone either way, and we were going down to Kilmarnock. Celtic were at home, and it was very tight. If we knew if we won the game, we'd win the league. So there was a lot of pressure involved building up to the game, and thankfully we came through the game well. We actually, got a few goals up very early, which relieved the tension a little bit. But it was great memories. And then we came back to Ibrox after the game. I can remember driving back in the bus and the celebrations after, obviously, and then came back to Ibrox, which seemed to be full at the time, which unfortunately, Rangers can't do at the minute, which is a great shame. But with no fans even being at the games, and that's the aspects that's missing. But the memories and the achievement remain the same.
Yeah, obviously yesterday came about because of Celtic's inability to win. I guess that has its own satisfaction for Rangers supporters, but a shame in some ways, I guess, or slightly different anyway, that it wasn't on a day of Rangers' own making, of their own playing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think ideally, as you said, Matt, I think if you can be on the pitch and getting a result that means that you've won a league, that's probably the ideal scenario. I think that's always a bit nicer. But Rangers will take it whichever way it comes. The wait's so long. The fans have been through a real journey, a real up and down journey, and to finally get that title, I'm not really sure they're too bothered how it's come. And Rangers' consistency of performance and result over the course of the season, being unbeaten, conceded as few goals as they have, they're worthy winners. And whether it was this week, next week, a couple of weeks down the line, it was going to happen. I think people have realised that for a month or so. So regardless what Celtic have done, Rangers are worthy winners.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably worth pointing out that, of course, with the slings and arrows of the way it goes in Glasgow, and you know better than me, there'll be a lot of talk from Celtic fans that, it was our weakness that allowed Rangers to win rather than their strength. But I fancy, as objective as one can be, that Rangers would have pushed any Celtic team hard this season. I mean, look at the results. They haven't lost a game outside of that League Cup defeat. So they are a force to be reckoned with this year, regardless of what's been going on across the city.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you could argue that Celtic haven't done as well as they would have liked. Well, not argue, I think that's fact. But I think a lot of that's down to the pressure that Rangers have applied as well. And Rangers have also done well European-wise in terms of the results there. So it's not just a domestic basis they've been performing. They've been doing it week in, week out. And who's to say they can't go out throughout the season continuing that? And Celtic have had a disappointing season. There's no doubt about that, and they've been chasing for a large part of the season, playing catch up, and Rangers have just kept that pressure going by their results and their performances. So I think the onus is on Rangers winning. It's certainly not Celtic losing it.
How good is this team then? How much more do you think? How many pieces might it need in order to, let's say, prosper in the Champions League? Were they to qualify for the group stage? Are they capable of that kind of level?
Time will tell. I'm sure they'll look to improve. Winning the league was massive, as you said, Matt. Just to get that chance of Champions League football, that's something Rangers have missed again for a number of years. So to get the opportunity to do that, the finances it brings, which again, you can reinvest back in the team, that adds a different dimension. I think players are attracted to playing in Europe, playing at that level. So that'll hopefully open the gates to different players as well. And Rangers are back on the map, European-wise now, because they're playing against good teams at significant levels of competition, and they're beating teams and progressing. So Rangers is an attractive place to come. It always is, but now more than ever with that added dimension of European football and trophies again as well, which have been missing for a long time.
Yeah, and of course, going deep in this season's Europa League, let's not forget that. There's
Yeah.
still a chance of something pretty special in Europe this season. But where do you think they can improve on the pitch without obviously being disrespectful to those that have done so well this season? What areas do you feel might need strengthening in order to kind of raise the bar?
I think, to be honest, I think the strength Rangers have just now is that the strength is in depth. I think if they lose a player or someone goes out, and you've seen it with James Tavernier, who's been a big player for a number of seasons, he's gone out, and the young lad Nathan Patterson has come in, and the results haven't skipped a beat. So I think when a player goes out, they seem to have a more than adequate replacement to come in, and the team continues along the same lines. It's been the same with the goalkeeper, the centre backs. So there is an aspect of they have great strength and depth. So I think that's a really important factor. I don't think it's a team built on one player or one particular position needs improving. I think they could, they could obviously add, but I think they'll be very careful because they seem to have a good dynamic there and a good sense of everybody contributing. And I think that definitely the whole is better than the sum of the parts.
Diplomatically put, mate. Diplomatically put. Now, listen, obviously there's been much made of the first for 10 years, stopping Celtic going 10 in a row, the fact that it's number 55 of the senior main titles, if you like, for Rangers in their history. I guess you'd always want more. Everybody always wants more. Everybody starts quite quickly looking to the next thing and a bigger thing and so on. Can you make it 2 in a row? Can you keep Celtic at bay for the foreseeable future? I guess from a neutral's point of view, next season would be ideal if the two and anyone else that fancies it can have a battle royal. That's what actually really stimulates us as supporters, isn't it? Actually, if it's a genuine scuff all the way to the end, as you say, in your case, it was all those years ago.
I think so. I think for Scotland, Scottish football as a product, I think that's what people want. I think people want to see head-to-head competitive games, not really sure who's going to win, no real dominance on either side. I think it's good because I think that increases the intensity of the game and the quality of the games, and which adds to the quality from the players, which again will help the teams in Europe. When we were back in the day, we were competing with Celtic year in, year out. We won 3 in a row just at the end of my spell there, and both teams were competing in Europe at that time, both teams in Champions League at some stages, in the group stages, and that was exciting times. And that's the level ideally we get back to, because that helps the league, it helps the clubs, and it also helps the national team. So I think that's the ideal scenario, although I'm sure Rangers fans will be more than happy to continue this dominance for a few years yet.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. Listen, how good a manager is Steven Gerrard? He's done obviously an extraordinary job in the 3 years from pretty modest beginnings. He's been backed, no doubt, but he's used it pretty wisely. And given what's going on in Glasgow, coupled with the really horrendous run his old team are on, the chat will be, as you well know, can he go and save his boyhood club? Rangers will want to keep him for sure.
Yeah, he will, and he's done a fantastic job. People have mentioned the fact he's been backed and he's had time, and he has, but he's done the job, and he's done what he set out to do, and he stopped the 10 in a row, which was a big thing for Rangers and a big thing for everyone. So he'll be in Rangers history for that, and thoroughly deserves. So you can't underestimate the job he's done. He's adapted to life in Glasgow. He's gave the fans and the club exactly what they wanted. So they'll forever be indebted to him for that. I'm sure he is on Liverpool's radar because of what he's done in his history at the club. But I think you can also see quite clearly that he's got an affinity with Rangers now, and he'll enjoy that feeling of winning the league. I think the picture's showing that, and I'm sure he'll want more of that. And there's opportunities in Europe, and there's opportunities in cups to do that regularly at Rangers. Liverpool's a fantastic job, and I'm sure one day he'll get that opportunity. But like all Rangers fans, we hope it's not in the immediate future.